Let's get started with our first news. Ilia vs. Justin Gaethje is reportedly in the works for UFC 34. Many fans have been wondering whether Ilia could make one more appearance before the end of 2025, but with October already underway, it seems the UFC might be saving his return for the first major pay-per-view of two. Reports are now surfacing that the promotion is looking to book Ilia against none other than Justin Gaethje, a matchup that would instantly shake up the lightweight division. When Ilia ran through Charles Oliveira back in June to become the lightweight king, no one thought his 2025 campaign was over. Ilia had even called for a fight with his rival Paddy Pimblett, and since he's only fought once this year, it made perfect sense for him to be back inside the cage soon. But now signs point to UFC 34 as the stage for his next appearance. Following Saturday's card, Dana White told the media that the UFC plans to stack the January event to kick off the new year in a big way, adding the lightweight champion would be the perfect way to boost the card's appeal. Ilia is one of the hottest names in MMA right now, and his presence on the first pay-per-view of 2026 would guarantee massive attention. Recently, Álvaro Caminero of Eurosport Spain reported on X that the UFC is preparing to open the new year in Los Angeles, and they want to feature Ilia in the main event against Justin Gaethje. While many fans expected a clash with Paddy, it appears the UFC sees Gaethje as the bigger draw in the US market. It's also worth remembering that after UFC 320, Dana confirmed that the winner of the upcoming Armen vs. Dan Hooker fight in November will get a title shot next. When asked directly, Dana said yes, the winner of that fight will become the #1 contender in the lightweight division. So while Armen or Hooker could soon earn their shot, it looks like Ilia's next step might already be set. A high-voltage war with Justin Gaethje at UFC 30. Move on to another news. Demetrious Johnson has made it clear he doesn't believe Conor or Jon Jones deserve to headline the UFC's historic White House card. After Dana White officially announced that the UFC will hold an event at the White House on June 14th, fans immediately started buzzing about who would get the honor of headlining this once-in-a-lifetime card. The two biggest names being thrown around have been Conor and Jon Jones, but Mighty Mouse isn't on board with that idea at all. Speaking in a recent YouTube video, Johnson explained that while both Conor and Jon are legendary figures, he feels the UFC should reward fighters who are active and putting in the work, not those sitting on the sidelines. He said that if Jon were to actually return and earn his spot, then sure, that would make sense. Johnson gave an example, saying if Jon comes back, fights someone like Jailton Almeida and says he wants to be on the White House card, great, you beat Almeida, then fight the winner of Volkov vs. Jairzinho. You earn that place. I'm all for it. But what he doesn't like is when fighters who have been inactive for years suddenly get to pick and choose what they want to do, especially when there are others grinding week after week to make a name for themselves. Johnson admitted that maybe Conor and Jon have earned that kind of star power, but to him it still doesn't feel right. He said, "I just want to see the guys who are putting rubber to the pavement, fighting their asses off, getting rewarded. Those are the fighters who should have first dibs to compete on the White House card." Johnson also acknowledged Jon's legendary career and the incredible things he's accomplished in MMA, but he emphasized that this particular event should represent the active generation, the fighters who are still in the trenches, competing and keeping the sport alive. And when it came to Conor, Johnson didn't hold back. He said, "Even for Conor, we don't need his ass on the White House. I know him and Donald Trump have a good relationship, but that shouldn't mean he gets to take the spotlight from others who are actually fighting right now." In short, Johnson believes the White House event should celebrate those currently carrying the torch for MMA, not those who've stepped away from the grind but still want the glory and attention without putting in the work. Move on to another news. It's now being reported that Magomed Ankalaev actually fought Alex Pereira with a broken rib. Footage circulating on social media appears to show the extent of the injury, reportedly recorded just 20 days before their fight. According to multiple reports, Magomed's team even tried to stop him from competing, but the Russian powerhouse refused to back down. He was determined to go through with the fight against one of the most dangerous strikers in the world, no matter the cost. In the leaked clip, a doctor can be seen examining Magomed's side, asking him specific questions about the pain. The doctor says, "Can you tell me where it spreads? Does it go sideways or up and down?" Magomed responds quietly, showing the area near his ribs. The doctor presses again. "So here this way, or more upward." Magomed winces in pain as he points out the tender spot. The doctor then asks, which one hurts more? One or two? And Magomed struggles to respond through the discomfort. Clearly invisible agony. It's a raw moment that shows just how severe the injury really was. Despite this, Magomed still went on to face Alex Pereira, one of the most terrifying knockout artists in the sport. Fans now have a completely different perspective on his performance. Many are calling his decision to fight through such an injury nothing short of insane, while others are questioning whether it was worth the risk at all. Competing in the UFC at that level requires everything: power, movement, and explosiveness. And fighting with broken ribs takes away all of that. Interestingly, Alex Pereira himself may have played a part in worsening the injury. After the fight, Alex posted footage of himself and his team re-watching the bout, and during the review his coach mentioned that Alex might have actually broken Magomed's ribs during the fight. Alex laughed and nodded, seemingly agreeing that one of his body kicks could have caused or aggravated the damage. Given how devastating Pereira's kicks are, that's not hard to believe. If the reports are accurate, Magomed's ribs were already compromised before the fight even began. Every punch, kick, and takedown attempt would have sent a sharp wave of pain through his body, yet he still stood toe-to-toe with the light heavyweight champion, showing incredible toughness and heart. Now fans and analysts are wondering just how different that fight could have been if Magomed had entered fully healthy. But one thing's for sure, fighting with a broken rib against Alex Pereira takes an almost inhuman level of courage and determination. Whether you love him or not, that kind of grit deserves respect. Move on to another news. Henry Cejudo believes Merab could actually beat Alexander Volkanovski if he ever decides to move up to featherweight. During a recent discussion, Cejudo broke down Merab's future in the UFC and made a surprising claim that caught a lot of fans off guard. According to Henry, Merab's relentless pace, elite wrestling, and unmatched cardio could give even the former featherweight king serious problems at 145 pounds. Cejudo began by talking about Merab's current path at bantamweight, saying he believes the next logical step for him is to face the winner of Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Bautista. Henry said, "I think what's next for Merab is the winner of Umar and Bautista, because of how close that fight was when they trained and how dominant Merab has been lately. If Umar gets through Bautista, that fight makes total sense." But then Cejudo took things a step further. He added, "Bro, if Merab wins that fight, I think it's time for him to go up to 145 pounds. And you know what? Call me crazy, but I honestly believe he could beat Alexander Volkanovski." Cejudo explained that Merab's wrestling and constant pressure could completely overwhelm fighters at featherweight. He said, "If he's been able to do that to the majority of us down here at 125, imagine him feeling even stronger and faster in a higher division. He could bring some serious problems to Volkanovski or anybody at 150. Cejudo praised Merab's work ethic, saying that few fighters in the entire UFC can match his intensity. He believes that Merab's endless gas tank and aggressive pace could break many featherweights, even those known for their toughness. "That dude never stops," Henry said. "He just keeps going, and that's what makes him dangerous. It doesn't matter who you are, when someone like that doesn't slow down, it breaks your rhythm, it breaks your confidence, and eventually it breaks you." Henry concluded by saying that if Merab continues on his current trajectory, it's only a matter of time before he clears out the bantamweight division. And when that happens, moving up might not just be an option, it might be necessary. Cejudo truly believes that at featherweight, Merab could make history and shock the world by dethroning a legend like Alexander Volkanovski. Move on to another news. Ian Gaethje has once again stirred the pot ahead of his highly anticipated showdown with Belal Muhammad at UFC Qatar on November 22nd. The Irish star took to Instagram and didn't hold back, calling Belal an idiot for trying to outstrike JDM in his last performance. Gaethje made it clear that when fighters step into the cage with elite strikers, trying to box with them is a huge mistake, and according to him, Belal learned that the hard way. In the video, Gaethje revealed some behind-the-scenes details about how this fight came together. He said, "The UFC offered me Sean Brady and I said yes right away. I told them let's make it a #1 contender fight. Let's make it public, because that's what I want." But they weren't willing to do that. Gaethje then explained that since the UFC didn't want to attach contender status to the matchup, he moved on and set his sights on Belal instead. "No problem," Gaethje said confidently. "I want to fight Belal, and when I knock him out there will be no other option. My next fight will be for a world title." Gaethje then mocked Belal's previous performance, taking a direct shot at his fight IQ. Belal Muhammad, when he was defending his world title in Montreal, Canada, thought he could outbox a boxer. He was an idiot, and he was wrong. Gaethje said, laughing. I hope he thinks he can try that against me too. It'll just make my life easier. It's clear that Ilia Gaethje isn't just confident, he's brimming with swagger heading into this fight. He believes Belal's biggest weakness is his ego, and that his willingness to strike with technically superior fighters will be his downfall once again. Gaethje added, when he gets in there with me, he's gonna realize real quick that he's not dealing with the same level of skill. I'm faster, sharper, and more dangerous in every area. This bout could have massive implications for the welterweight division. Gaethje is undefeated and rapidly climbing the ranks, while Belal has been campaigning for a title shot for years. Both men see this fight as their ticket to championship contention. But for Ilia Gaethje, there's no doubt in his mind about the outcome. When I knock him out, there's no debate, he said. The world will know who the real #1 contender is. One thing's for sure, the tension between these two is already boiling, and when they finally meet in Qatar, it's going to be explosive. Move on to another news. Serious concerns are rising for UFC fighters and staff currently in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, as reports emerge of an ongoing public health crisis involving methanol poisoning in local alcoholic beverages. According to multiple sources, at least 3 people have tragically passed away in recent weeks after consuming contaminated drinks. The Brazilian government has now declared the situation abnormal and unlike anything the country has ever experienced when it comes to methanol-related poisoning. Brazil's health minister, Alexandre Padilha, addressed the issue publicly, calling the wave of methanol contamination a unique and alarming threat to public safety. The substance, methanol, is a highly toxic form of alcohol that can cause severe poisoning, blindness, and even death when ingested in small quantities. The problem appears to be linked to tainted or illegally produced alcoholic beverages, particularly distilled drinks such as vodka, whiskey, and cachaça, where the contamination is extremely difficult to detect. In response, the UFC has taken swift precautionary measures to ensure the safety of its fighters, coaches, and staff during the event week in Rio. Internal memos distributed to personnel included a strong warning about the situation, advising everyone to avoid drinking alcohol altogether while in Brazil. The new section added to the UFC's International Event Safety Guidelines reads, there has been a rise in cases of methanol-tainted alcohol in Brazil. The country's health minister has urged individuals to avoid consuming alcoholic beverages, particularly distilled ones, as contamination is difficult to detect. As a result, we strongly urge all fighters, staff, and officials to exercise caution and refrain from alcohol consumption during the event period. This warning comes at a critical time, with many fighters already on the ground preparing for their upcoming bouts. Some have reportedly expressed concerns over team dinners and local hospitality events, where alcohol is often offered. The UFC's decision to highlight the danger shows just how serious the situation has become. For the promotion, fighter safety is always the top priority, and this latest development underscores the importance of vigilance when competing abroad. While the atmosphere in Rio is always electric during fight week, the organization is now urging its athletes and staff to stay alert, stay safe, and avoid any unnecessary risks. Move on to another news. Dana White is facing massive backlash from the MMA community after rumors surfaced that Justin Gaethje could be fighting Ilia Topuria to kick off the new year at UFC. While the fight hasn't been officially confirmed, fans across social media have already made their opinions loud and clear, and it's safe to say they're not happy. Many believe Gaethje doesn't deserve another title shot, especially considering the number of hungry contenders waiting for their opportunity. As soon as the news broke, MMA fans flooded the internet with their reactions. One fan wrote, "To put Gaethje in January is basically the UFC throwing Paramount a blood sacrifice to start that deal." Another added, "Gaethje's style versus Ilia's power is going to look like a 4K snuff film." The frustration continued to spread as people called the UFC's matchmaking absolute dog, with one comment reading, "Who wants to see brain-dead Gaethje in another title fight?" The community argued that fights like Ilia vs Paddy Pimblett or Ilia vs Arman would make far more sense. One fan said, "Anything other than Ilia vs Paddy is promotional malpractice. The fight is right in the palm of the UFC's hands." Others warned that if the promotion ignores the obvious matchups, they risk angering the MMA gods. Another major concern is Gaethje's recent comments about retirement. Fans question why the UFC would hand a title shot to someone openly talking about hanging up the gloves soon. Do you really want Gaethje getting the belt when he's already 1 foot out the door? One user posted, if Justin Gaethje fights for the title in 2026, that's a terrible way to start this new Paramount deal. Some fans even went as far as calling it one of the most undeserving title shots in recent memory. The backlash didn't stop there. Another fan mocked Dana White's earlier claim that UFC 34 would be the best card ever put together, saying, "Terrible promoter, please UFC don't make this fight, it's disappointing." The general sentiment is clear. The fans want fresh matchups, not recycled opportunities. Many pointed out that once our man got booked against Dan Hooker, it became clear that the UFC was setting the stage for Gaethje versus Ilia, and that realization didn't sit well with the MMA audience at all. One fan summed up the entire mood perfectly: "I'd genuinely rather see Ilia versus Patty than this." The backlash continues to grow online, with thousands of fans voicing their disapproval. Whether the UFC sticks with this rumored plan or listens to the community's outrage remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, fans believe giving Gaethje another title shot is a huge mistake.